Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Superman Mind 2.0. We're going to be learning today how to defend ourselves the most effectively with the least amount of energy. What we do know about self-defense is it's been around since the beginning of time. It's been around in our immune system since our creation. Anything in life that is created has an immune system that's constantly fighting or constantly strengthening themselves. So it's the ultimate of health in the health arena. When we learn how to fight or self-defend, we automatically increase our health. You look at these people like Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, all of these great boxers and fighters, they have the greatest health, the greatest stamina, the greatest immune systems, because they're linking in with their biological energy of overcoming conflict. So we're going to be going through a whole program. It's going to be 3 levels. The first is a beginning stage, the second is an intermediate stage, and the third is an advanced stage. And so what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to be strong enough to where we don't even have to fight. Some people, through our postures, when we start developing muscles from punching enough, kicking enough, the subconscious mind automatically registers that you know how to fight. And this wards off about 90% of possible confrontations in your life, where a person might pick a fight with you, or you might be in harm's way because you didn't know how to fight. That same person to another person who does know how to fight would walk away. So I believe personally that the ultimate peace is to know how to defend yourself and to prevent a fight, because the opponent knows you're strong, so they're not going to fight you. So with that being said, welcome to Superman Mind, and we'll be starting off. Alright guys, so off to level 1 we go. And first off, we're just going to learn the simple punch. It's one of the most important things, obviously, in self-defense. So I'm just going to start giving you the most powerful information that's really out there, from Bruce Lee's, Jeet Kune Do, Floyd Mayweather's Money Team training, as well as stuff I've learned from online studying Mayweather and stuff, Mayweather and Muhammad Ali, stuff like that. So first and foremost, we want to not hit the opponent, but we want to hit through the opponent. So when you're focusing on any object that you're going to be developing, you're going to be focusing on the object, and instead of focusing on hitting it, you're going to focus on hitting through it. And this mentality alone is something that Bruce Lee taught, and it's something that's amazing to increase strength. A lot of these things that I show you are just going to be tips, mental tips, and when you apply them, it's going to increase your strength automatically. No training, nothing of this nature. So one thing I do want to share with you is that when I share with you this knowledge and you get good at it or proficient at it, it could potentially become lethal. So I want you to use this with responsibility. Only use it to promote peace. If you're going to self-defend yourself, defend yourself for a reason. Don't just go around using the material. Use it to teach others how to defend themselves, but also use it responsibly and use it to promote peace. You know, a lot of fighters, the greatest fighters, they've used their skill to promote a message. So what we're doing is we're promoting the superhero lifestyle. So we're not just learning how to defend ourselves to be cool, right? We're learning how to be superheroes. So superheroes have a responsibility to do the right thing and to use their fighting abilities towards justice, towards freedom, towards love, towards unity, and all of these great things. And that exemplifies the power that we'll be talking about. So I'd like to just get started just by loosening up. We want to be nice and loose when we punch and strike. So when you're striking, you want to be loose but firm at the same time. So if you're too stiff and you punch, you're like a really stiff stick. You could be broken easily. But if you're too loose and you go to punch, you're like a flimsy type of feather that's just going to be blown away. But if you bring the feather and the stick together and they merge to become one, you get a nice beautiful form which is in alignment with Chinese Qi, called the One or the Tao. And so you're not loose, but you're not too stiff. And so when you strike, you're able to strike proficiently. So whenever you practice, try to warm up first, obviously, to get the blood circulating in your body. You can just practice by doing 50 punches. 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nice slow punches, and then that should be enough to get the blood circulated to start your routine. So what we need to know is that stance is more important than the punch here. So when you're in stance, you're keeping your feet a walking distance apart, one step apart. So if you were to take one step, right, that's how far you want your feet to be apart. And just this alone gives you the perfect stance. If you just learn that, just to keep one step apart, no matter where your foot is, you're going to have perfect balance. And so with that stance of being one step apart, you can effectively punch without having any type of feeling that you're going to fall or you're going to be lopsided. It just completely nullifies all of that. Another thing is to know that we're going to be learning how to snap when we punch. So it's not just a punch, but it's a snap. So when you're punching, most people just punch forward. But what we notice is, like a whip, or if you take a towel and you roll up the towel and you whip it out, you get that real nice snap sound. And that's what we want in the punch. We want a nice snap. So it's like that, a nice snap. Now if you focus on the snap and piercing through the opponent instead of just punching the opponent, you'll gain even more power. And you're going to continue to work on your form. Always remember to try to keep the perfect form. Now I know there's a lot of information even on level 1, but I'm going to try to simplify it as much as we can. And feel free to pause the video and to replay it until you learn it. So, all right, another thing to increase strength in your punch, and this is very lethal, but I have to teach it to you because I'm teaching you the best, is when you're punching, you're using the other hand or the other side of your body to increase the punch power. Most people, they just punch with their hand, right? Or they go on this side, they're just punching, right? But if you can shift your whole body weight by using the other side of your body, you're going to increase the strength of your punch by 100% at least. So, we're in a stance. Mind you, you could stand like this, right? Or you could stand like this. You have horizontal, right transverse, and then you have vertical. Bruce likes to be vertical. Some boxers like to punch like this. Sometimes you could do halfway. Just make sure those feet are a step apart. So you're punching, right? And now you're not just punching anymore, but you're using your opposite hand to facilitate more power in your punch. It looks like this, right? And so you're also going to incorporate that. Now, the thing about self-defense is there's so many different aspects of fighting that when you are in an actual confrontation, you don't have time to think about, oh, well, let me put more strength in my left, or let me snap, or let me focus on my stance. It's going to be automatic. And so, remind you, this is just a lesson so you could learn. And the more that you repeat it, the more it'll be secondhand nature and you don't have to think about it. So if you ever do have to get into a confrontation and be the Superman in your life to protect your children, your family, your friends, if there's ever type of any crisis, don't worry about what you learned. It's already there. You've been practicing it, and hopefully practicing it with the mindset of using it for good. You know, I like to just say the simple affirmation, you know, I punch for peace. And that's enough for me. So, okay, so another thing that I want to suggest to you is don't take this, what I'm teaching you, as an art, or like try to name it as like the Superman self-defense. It's just self-defense. You have your own self-defense mechanisms within you. It's just a guide there for you. So drop all of these type of labels. Oh, this was a Superman self-defense course. I know how to protect myself like Superman. Superman really doesn't exist. You do. You're the real Superman. So the ultimate self-defense mechanism is your body and what you already know how to do. You have a body that's been bioengineered for millions of years to know how to defend yourself. It's all there within you. You just have to let go and release and trust that you have these skills, and let these skills exemplify and magnify that. All right. So another thing to know is that the on guard position is the most important position. The punch is not the most important. The block is not most important. The kick is not most important. It's the on guard position. When you're in on guard position, right? Let's say I like to be loose. I like to keep my hand right here to trick the opponent. But this is really on guard position. Center line, feet spread apart. Right here, protecting the jaw. Here for quick access to the opponent. A secondary barrier. You have this barrier, and then you have this barrier. There's two barriers here. Use this one to block, this one to strike, and just be comfortable being in on guard position. You know, just being comfortable with it. Slightly bend the knees, keep those 2 feet a step apart, which is one of the most important parts. Once you start to get used to it, you'll start to notice your legs need to increase in power. So, and that's okay, that's natural. And just by doing this, you're going to increase in power. Focusing on your strong arm, not only can it hit and strike a blow, but it's actually a secondary barrier. So if your opponent tries to strike, you can parry it away. And then you also have this primary force of block to also block, to go in for a kick, or you can use it as a strike. There's many ways to use it, but the most important thing that I'm trying to get across to you is that the on guard stance is the most important stance, because you have the freedom to punch, right? You have the freedom to punch or to block, right? So if you're in on guard stance, you have that freedom. If you're going for a punch, you're no longer free. You can't block you're stuck you're stuck, right? Yes? No? If you're blocking, right? You're blocking. You're stuck. You can't go to punch. I can't really go to punch. I mean, I can, right? I can go like that. But usually the novice, he's stuck. He's really not able to get out of block, and that's because when you get out of on-guard position, and this goes for life as well, it's the kingdom. It's the place that you always want to be. It's if there's any place that you want to be, it's in that on-guard position. Okay, it's freedom. It's complete freedom. I can strike, I can block, either way. All right. So on to the next, the 1-2-3 combination. So you always want to hit in combos, right? 1-2, or to complete a combination, 1-2-3. 1-2-3. You're always going to remember that if you're doing a 3 combination, your hand that you're using is going to end up the same hand that you're ending with. 1, 2, 3, and just keep doing that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Combinations are what cause the knockout. Most of the time, 95% of the time, it was a combination that knocked the opponent out. So you want to get masterful with the combinations, and it's very simple. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then soon, your 1, 2, 3, like it'll look like that right now. But soon, it'll look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Because 1, 2, 3 circulates. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? So it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then it turns continuous. I don't know why in self-defense the number 3 turns into a continuous circle, but it does. Whenever you're using a combination with 3s, with a set of 3, it turns into a cycle, like a yin-yang. So 1, 2, 3, if you're doing it continuous, it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? And if you're doing that and you develop stamina, that's going to blast through the opponent. If you're continuously doing 1, 2, 3 combinations, the opponent's not going to be able to stop that if he's a beginner or a novice. So that's important. And so I give you another extremely powerful technique, which was taught by Bruce Lee to the actors that he was training, which is to visualize where your hand's going to be before you strike. So before you strike, you're going to know where your hand is after that strike. And that's going to increase your speed by hundreds of percent. They asked, how is this guy so fast? That's what he was teaching the actors on set. Some of the actors around Hollywood were hiring Bruce. He would go to their homes and teach them. This is what he was teaching them. To focus on where the hand is before you even strike it. So you turn a physical thing into a mental thing again, right? Bruce loved to do that. He kept turning the physical aspect of it into mental precision, to be mentally elite. So most people are just going to punch, right? 1, I'm going to hit you. But Bruce and these great fighters, they're focusing on where their hand's going to be after they strike, and it brings a lot of speed. So I'm thinking about my hand going back into place here, right? A lot of speed, and that increases your speed. So all of these tips can increase power and speed. I've already given you dozens, and what I want you to do is to rewind them and continue to practice them. All right. So I'm going to give you a little break on that, let you chow down on that, and then we'll continue on to level 1. You're doing great. So that's pretty much left, left, right, 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 left, 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 right, 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 left, 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 right, 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 left, left. And you keep doing that, and it's gonna eventually balance the whole system. And if you continue to fight like that with that balance in mind, the left, left, right, 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 just that idea of having that balance. So then when you actually do kick, right, I know where my balance is, whether I need to balance here, and then mentally I'm just doing that. Left, left, right, 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 left. And that gives you ultimate balance. So even if I'm doing a 2-portion kick, I'm mentally focusing simply on left, 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 right. So that helps with the balance. All right, next thing is palm strikes. Palm strikes are strong. We focus on palm strikes when we have hard bone. We focus on hard fist when we have soft body. When you hit a soft portion of the body, like here, sometimes in the abdomen, wherever the person, even if it's an overweight individual, if you're hitting them in soft area of their body, use hard fist. If you are hitting hard places, like their hands, their arms, their face, you're using the palm. Now you can use the palm here, or you can use the palm here. Both are very powerful. And what you want to do is, you want to start training on just strengthening that. I use trees, because trees are the strongest thing you could use, and they're good to you. I feel that they're a lively spirit, and they teach you how to become even stronger. If you look at a lot of grandmasters, they come out here, and they focus with cheese, and with the chi of the trees and sticks and things like that. I agree with that. You know, it starts to take time before you can develop actually hitting a tree. But with a palm strike, you can practice perfectly, because it's a perfectly hard material that you can practice. I'm going to practice all the way on this tree, and you're going to see how hard I hit this thing with my palm. You're going to hear it from there. Watch, hold on. I don't know if you heard that, but that's pretty much the power of the palm strike once you start to practice it. And it's deadly, it's lethal. You only use that unless you're in a situation where you need to protect your life. In any other case, stay away from the palm strike unless you use it lightly just to ward off an opponent. You just give them a palm strike to the face. You say, leave me alone, I don't want any trouble. But if you are in a situation like Superman or one of these superheroes where they have to protect people, right here, you just keep hitting, practicing on the trees until that becomes hard and just accustomed to it. And also here on this side, because if you use the hard side of your hand on the hard side of if I did that with a punch, I'd hurt my hand pretty bad. So that's a secret, and that's one of the most powerful components to striking with the arm, with fists. All right, on to the next thing. We're doing really good. So, the next thing is feints. When Bruce Lee developed his method, Jeet Kune Do, he developed this method, and he said the whole method is based around feints. And what a feint is it's a strike where you're actually psyching out the opponent mentally. And if you do it enough times, you win the fight without even having to fight. So once the opponent knows that you're psyching them out or tricking them, their mind becomes discombobulated. And so you end up winning the fight mentally before the physical fight has been over. They might just run away or say, I don't want to fight, because they know you have this power of psyching them out or feinting. It's one of the main components used by all great martial artists and professional boxers. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. So a feint is very simple, and no, it's not feint, we're going to fall on the ground. It's a feint that when you're striking, you're doing a fake strike. It's pseudo, right? So I fake with my left side and then I hit them with my right? So faking, I'm not really gonna hit with this, right? This is my weak arm, but I'm gonna hit with my strong arm, right? So here we go, ready? Here's a feint with the left, actual hit with the right. Right? You want to reach as much as you can. Right? Now, the mind is saying, oh my gosh, I got to block the left, and you're already hitting them with the right. And you could possibly knock someone out like that, or hurt them pretty bad. So you want to be careful with that as well. Like I said, these are things developed to be the best fighter you can be. And so, like I said, you only want to use these things if you have to. Alright? So you could feint in your stance as well. Feinting to go back and then move forward. Move forward. Oh, they think you're going back, but you're moving forward. So, right? And then back to your on guard position. Always want to come back to on guard position. So, feinting that I'm going to hit them low, and then hitting them high, right? That's another one. So, and then I'm back into on guard position. You could also feint with kicks. The best is to feint that you're going to hit them up here and then hit them with a kick, right? Or you can hit their shins, which is very painful. So you're pretending you're going to hit them in the face, and you hit them in the shins. I'm going to go through more kicking in the second level of the program, but that's pretty much feinting. You want to get really good at that. It's the backbone of successful fighting. A lot of 1-2 combinations that you put out, you might just be feinting with a jab and then hitting with the right with your real power. Most fighters, they're giving all they got to every strike that they're doing. You don't want to do that, because you want to psych the opponent out. A lot of the strikes that you're going out for, you're just striking to psych them out. Sometimes they're going to block, right, which is going to leave them open up here. Let's say I go to psych them out in the midsection, right here. They're going to go to block like this, and then they're leaving their whole face open. Or they're leaving their whole shin open. I could kick their knees in. Anything, you know, because they're all like this now. And I didn't exert any energy because that was a fake attack that I was using. And this, if you do this 5, 10, 20 times in a fight, you're gonna win the fight. All right, so on to the next thing. Distance we went over. So using the opponent for a strike. So when we use the opponent for a strike, we're pretty much taking their energy and their weight and then using it against them. So Bruce Lee used to say, you become the opponent. And when you do that, when you become their energy, you're focusing on their rhythm, their stance. You could mirror their stance. If they fight like this, you put your hands up like this, just to mirror them, using them as a way to strike against them. If they send a blow, you're not blocking the blow. You're accepting that energy. You're taking that hand and then maybe immobilizing it. Or taking that hand, grabbing the wrist, right? Without blocking, grabbing the wrist again, and then maybe hitting them in the face or the neck or the jaw. So it's a great thing to know that when you have an opponent that's attacking you, you become the opponent. A lot of great intelligent species do this, like the octopus and a lot of beings that are in nature. They chameleonize themselves and become the opponent. You know, you look at this like sand sharks or stingrays, things like this. All right. Like I said, repetition is great. You could do finger jabs, which is a finger jab is pretty much using these 4 fingers, stiffening them up, and then gouging the eyes out. So you're taking these 4 fingers, right? It takes practice to get them strong, and then you're focusing on where the eyeballs are, and you're gouging those eyeballs, trying to decrease their vision or take out their vision. Right? Be, practicing hundreds of times a day to strike, maybe on a bag of rice, a punching bag. If you have one of these type of dummies at home, you could use that. You just all right. Next thing on the list is structural training. I gave you the book, and pretty much what structural training is it's a way to strengthen the body. So when you're focusing on hitting the opponent, you are going to hit the opponent with increased musculature. So you're focusing mentally on what musculature you're using, and then you're contracting around those muscles. So if I'm regularly using these muscles, I can contract around these muscles. Now I have extra musculature. Now you use both. Boom, 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 boom. You do that with your legs too. Boom, boom. And that increases your power by hundreds of % immediately. You don't have to work out. You don't have to do anything. You just focus on contracting the muscles around the areas that you're already using, and then you contract both the muscles you're already using and the muscles around that, and then boom, you could really hit them with a very powerful blow. Right? All right. So alright, I'm going to give you the knockout center, and I'm going to give you the knockout center you always want to aim for. If you want to knock an opponent out, you focus for the area that bends down on the jaw and about an inch below that. So you looking on where their jaw bends from the down position of the face down to their chin, and then about an inch below that is the knockout center, and that's on both sides. If you hit that center, it knocks the brainstem and the brain stem shuts down automatically to protect the brain. So if you hit it hard enough, an automatic response of the body is to shut down the certain portions of the brain, including consciousness, to protect the brain stem itself, so there's no damage there. It's an automatic thing. It's like pushing a button. So you could palm strike here. I'm not going to knock my own self out, but I could, right? So you just hitting here, right there, or right here. Focusing on there, an inch down, and it's on both sides too. I call it the button because it's a button that you want to hit, and once you hit that button, the fight's over. Alright, so let's see if there's anything else. Weight shifting, right? We want to shift the weight on both legs. Whenever, like I told you about how to balance yourself, that's a great way to shift your weight. Shifting your weight when you're punching. You can shift your weight from the left side of the body on the left leg and then shifting to the weight to the right side to complete the strike, kind of like this. Right? You see how I shifted? Right? And then always coming back to stance position. That's important. And alright. So the last two things I want to cover, it's a very important thing. I don't know if any of you played Street Fighter, but in Street Fighter, a lot of the fighters there used to say a key word, like Hadouken, right? And there's actually deeper sediment to that. In China, the Shaolin monks of Kung Fu used to meditate, and they used to meditate with a mantra. And when they were in fight or combat, they would use the mantra to increase the force of their power. So I use the mantra, please don't tell anyone, the mantra is Karuna Hum. Karunahum, Karuna Hum. It means compassion. I learned it from Deepak Chopra on a meditation program, a 21-day meditation program. Long story short, I want to keep this video short. When I use that I use that mantra specifically when I meditate to increase my force when I fight or when I practice. So I meditate all the time with that mantra just to increase my power. So here's my normal punch, right? And now I can say it out loud, or I can say it mentally. Karunahum, Karunahum, Karunahum. And now that force pretty much becomes, that punch becomes unstoppable. I can penetrate through any opponent. I can penetrate through any opponent because of the meditative power that's attached to the punch now, or the kick, or it could be a block, or it can be a hold, even if you're holding somebody. More advanced self-defense techniques teach you how to hold, but that's very important to use a mantra in your meditation to build your physical power during self-defense training or self-defense if you ever have to actually self-defend yourself. Now, I gave you the most powerful stuff. Go over this stuff. This is level 1, the punch. Level 2 is the kick. Level 3 is the blocking, which is more advanced. And that's pretty much covers it all. Oh yeah, one more thing. Focus on half circles when, not all the time, but shifting the waist when you're hitting. Some people call it the hook, right? But half circles, even when you're kicking, half circles, right? Sometimes we hit straight, and that's okay, but you get a more effective punch if you're going with the half circle, right? And one more thing, I know this sounds pretty powerful. It is. Using both hands to punch in. Sometimes you can punch the opponent with both hands at the same time if you've already defeated him mentally. Slap him, or punch, palm strike, 2 palm strikes at once. Right? Instead of having 1, you have now 2. slap them for a stun, and that could be any angle. Alright, that's level 1, guys.